Hey guys, in this video, we're going to answer one simple question, and that is, what keywords should you run PPC for when you launch your product? So when you get your product on Amazon and you want to roll out ads, Amazon as an ad platform is really dependent upon targeting certain keywords or search terms. So a customer could type in UV light sanitizer, and your ad is bidding on that term, and you're going to show up at the top. And so the Amazon advertising system is really about selecting your keywords successfully. When a customer types in a search term, what are you going to show up for? And making sure you're showing up in as many places as possible, but not just in as many places as possible, but also the most relevant terms. Because the way that the Amazon game works is that you want to get organic sales and ad sales. So organic sales are Amazon shows you at the top of the page, a customer searches something and they click and they buy. That's how you start making a ton of money on Amazon. When you start out, 70% of your sales are going to be dependent upon PPC or ads. And that's completely normal. But the point of ads is to use as a strategic tool to get organic ranking on the right keywords. And this tool helps you determine what are the right keywords. What are the keywords you should target? Because if you don't target the right keywords, you're going to have a very bad conversion rate, and Amazon's going to see that, and they're going to say, you know what? Nobody wants to buy your product. That's what conversion rate is, clicks to sales. You're getting a ton of clicks and you're not getting any sales. And so why would we show your product to anyone? So in the launch phase, PPC is really about training Amazon to it's about training Amazon to know that you have a really high conversion rate for your product. And so that means we're going to only target terms that we know we're going to get sales on. These aren't terms that we might get sales on or could get sales on. They're terms verified with data based on where our competitors are ranking really highly, and competitors wouldn't be ranking highly unless they have a great conversion rate, a great click. And so we're going to find out with this system how to find those keywords, and then a straightforward way to put those into PPC campaigns. So to get started, this is really similar to Data Dive, which is a tool that does way more than keyword research. So I'm not saying that this tool completely replaces that amazing software, but a big part that I like Data Dive for was putting together a master keyword list. And so I've gone ahead and I've used Claude to write a Google script that gives a very similar output, and all you need is Helium 10. So let me walk you through first how to set this master keyword list up, like what inputs you need to get this up and going. And then we could dig into how to use. When you get this sheet, you're going to just see Cerebro raw and X-Ray raw, and then the guide here. The guide walks through the reasoning of the relevancy score and how to structure campaigns, which we'll get into. I'll show you exactly how to do it. So let's go to Amazon. So let's say this is your main product. And what you're going to do is you're going to click, and then you're going to load X-Ray, and then you're going to click most similar competitors. So by most similar, I mean they're the exact same product that you're selling. So this is like a UV mold remover that you place in rooms. It's not a sanitation box that you put your phone in. So I'm not going to select that one. The first one that you select is it's gonna think that that's your ASIN, or it puts it first in the stack. So if you are having a current product and doing this, then make sure the first one you select is yours. But okay, so this is our product, and let's say we want to select only similar products. So we're not doing that one. This one, it looks like it's similar to ours, and we want a similar price point. So if I was selling at $99.99 and this guy was selling at like $200, I would just exclude him, even if it was a similar product. And the reason for that is he's not going to be ranking for much if he has that high of a price. And it's just going to mess up your keyword data, because to determine relevancy, we look for where competitors are ranking on page 1 for. And if he's not ranking on page 1, it's going to be like an outlier that we have in our data set that's going to skew things. So we want similar price point and similar product. So $79.99, like he's ranked number 7. He's doing well. Let's see, number 20. This guy's $59.99. All right, we can include him. $99.99. These guys are spot 20, 21, 22. $99.99. $89.99, $99.99, $79.88. So just do this for like 5 to 10 competitors. Usually it's better if you're on the fence, it's better to include people that are cheaper than you because they're often going to rank for more than you than it is to include people that are more expensive that are going to skew because they don't rank for anything. So yeah, that's the data. Then what we're going to do is you're going to click export and then select 9 as CSV. It's going to download that here, and then you're going to go back to this sheet. You're going to go to X-Ray Raw, go to File, Import, go over to the Upload tab here, and then just click and drag and do Replace Current Sheet, and then Detect Automatically, and then you're going to import that data, and it's going to import it just like it's shown here. Okay, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to load the keyword data. So to do that, you go back to the X-ray search that you had here, and then you click Run Cerebro, and it's going to do the keyword research on all these products combined. And because we're exporting this data and the Google Sheet is going to filter it all, we don't have to apply any filters. You'll notice here that if you're in the desktop mode, it doesn't tell you like every ASIN and where they rank. And that's something that we are going to get when we export it to a CSV. And that's a really cool feature, which we'll see in a second. So we could go over to Cerebro. It's going to be the same thing. You do File, Import, Upload, and then you take this, upload it, replace current sheet, and then import the data. And then after you do all of that, you're just going to click Configure and Run. It's going to ask, do you have permission to run it? You're going to click Advanced. And then it's going to ask you a few questions. So what's your product name? What's your ASIN? What's your SKU? If it's a new product, you don't really need to worry about getting this to be exact, like your SKU, your launch date. It's helpful if you have an existing product because it will identify your product versus the other products. And then it will use the SKU data in bulk file to build out the campaigns because you need to put your SKU there and then your daily budget and your launch date for this stuff. So if you're just starting out, just fill something in, like take the first product you had and fill that info in right here. And then when you run it, it's going to give you this master keyword list. So you can see here that this is the X-ray data that it gives you, and it lays it all out across the top. And then right beneath it, it gives you the ranking per each keyword, and it shows us the most important keywords at the top, which is based on the relevancy score. So one cool thing about having this competitor intelligence section at the top is it quickly helps you see what are the price points and revenue of people that are doing the best. So this guy's at $99.99. He's doing $67K. He's doing more than anyone else. So if you launch a product at $99.99, that's a good suggestion that you could do well too. If you see everyone is like $99.99 and you think you're going to launch it at $200, well, there's no one in the top of the page at that price point. So it's really hard to gauge how much units you're going to move. I suggest doing a median price of the top 5 sellers and then working backwards to get your 5x markup. So instead of starting with a price, I know we're talking about sourcing now, but instead of starting with a price from a supplier and just saying, okay, let me multiply that times 5 and that's what I'm going to sell it for, you should start with the market and what consumers are already paying for and what's winning. Start in the middle of that price range and then work backwards for what your sourcing goal should be. I've seen that strategy. That's what I've used, and it's worked a lot more successfully, and it gives you a target on what you need to source for. The second thing you'll be able to notice is the review count. So everyone's at like 4.2 to 4.4, and this guy's at 4 stars. So that's room for improvement. And then this metric, how many keywords do you rank in the top 4 for? And then what's the total search volume of those 4 keywords together? So this helps you see who is winning the most in SEO. And this guy by far is blowing everyone away. 28,000 searches. There's some pretty weak competitors, even at the similar price point, only ranking for 4,000 searches, 8,000 in the top 4. So that's how I would read that data. Now coming down to here, this is the data that is amazing for keyword research. So let's start with the relevancy score. The relevancy score helps you determine like the keywords that you're going to be most successful advertising on. And so that's dependent on how big the search volume is how many competitors are ranking in the top of that. So remember I said when you export it, you can see the data of like each ASIN, and you can see like where they're ranking for that term. And so relevancy is not just, hey, does it have a high search volume and is it a word that has UV light in it? It's does it have a high search volume and how many competitors rank for it? So it looks like all 7 competitors rank for it somewhere on page 1. So that's a good signal. And then the third one is, but how high do they rank for it? So the average rank is 9. And you can see this guy's 1, this guy's 3, this guy's 7, this guy's 5. So it's the most relevant because of the search volume. All 7 rank on page 1 for it. And most of them rank at the top of page 1 for it. They're in the top 10. Out of all these 7 out of the top 10 spots, let's say these guys have. So that's how you determine relevancy. And again, the reason that matters is these competitors are ranking at the top because they have a good conversion rate. It means they have the best click to sale ratio. And when you're starting out, you want to train Amazon that you have a high CVR so that you can rank on those terms, but also it's the most efficient use of your ad dollars, right? You're going to have the highest conversion rate on them. Your money's going to go the furthest when you're advertising on these terms. So maybe you could get sales like under Mother's Day gifts or Father's Day gifts, or there are other terms that people could search and buy your item, but that's not high customer intent. Like they might buy it, they might not buy it, but these terms are verified with data based on search volume, competitor average rank, and the number of competitors that rank on page 1 to determine what we should go after. Now, if you're interested more in how the ranking works, I've kind of put that in the guide sheet here in the front, where the number of competitors ranking is 50% of the weight, where they rank on the page is 30% of the weight, and then the search volume is 20% of the weight. Okay, so we've entered the Helium 10 data. We have a master keyword list. We understand why we should only go after the highest relevant terms. The next step is, what actually should we do for our PPC campaigns? And that's where this sheet comes out with the campaign structure. And the rule of thumb that it uses is the top 25% of your master keyword list, it's going to put into here. And it's going to identify routes and do modified broad campaigns for those. So quick recap, Amazon PPC, when you target a keyword, there are different ways you can target it. An exact match means if someone types in UV light sanitizer, then you're only going to show up if that is the exact search. If someone types in UV light sanitizer for my living room, you're not going to show up for that. But let's say you have a modified broad match that says light sanitizer. This just means if the word light and sanitizer show up anywhere in the search term, it could be living, like UV light for my living room with sanitizer. Light sanitizer aren't together, but because those two words are somewhere in there, it's going to show up for it. And so typically putting the top 25% in exact match helps you cover the most relevant keywords to make sure you're showing up. And then the modified broad does cleanup, because there are a lot of other keywords in this list that are 300 searches or 400 searches, and you don't want to go crazy creating a campaign for every single one of them, right? So you put the big, most important terms, each in their own campaign in an exact match. And then the routes, light sanitizer is a route. It's a 2 to 3 word phrase commonly repeated in other keywords. Instead of putting 20 other keywords with that in the list, you're just going to throw it in a modified broad, and that's going to catch all those terms. For the starting bid, it's going to do the Helium 10 bid times 2. People get really worked up on what the starting bid should be. It really doesn't matter. You just want to be getting enough impressions. If you check your data and you're not getting any clicks or any impressions, you need to increase your bid to make sure you get that. But starting out, I don't do a top of search multiplier because you don't know if you're going to perform better at top of search or not until you have that data. So it's better just to do a 2x fixed bid, what I found in my experience. So it's going to say your exact campaigns, your modified broad campaigns, and then all the competitors that you mentioned in X-Ray, it's going to target under product targeting. So product targeting is when you go to someone's page and you see all these products showing up, it says sponsored. This is where product targets are. So you're going to target ASINs that are on page 1 that people are clicking on, and you're going to try to siphon some of their sales off. But yeah, that's really it. I would just encourage you to look over this list, because there might be some keywords that you might not want to advertise on. Like this is going to include brand names. When you're starting out, I would not advise you to advertise against competitor branded search. So let's say there was another brand called like UV Light King and that came up here. I would remove that. Again, that's something you might get a sale on and you could launch that in the future, but starting out, you only want the highest CVR terms to train Amazon that your product has a high CVR and should be ranked and should be shown to customers. I know I've hammered that a lot, but that relevancy and high CVR for launch is super important, and it's the framework or lens that you should be looking at when you're looking at this list and thinking, like, is this term relevant? Should I run ads for it? Well, what determines relevancy is where are competitors at a similar price and product ranking for it. If they're ranking at the top, it's relevant. If they're not ranking, they're all ranking like spot 20. I wouldn't do it. Like, let's save it for another time after we get through the launch phase, because after you get through the launch phase, your goal is to get more sales. Like, let's say you have steady organic ranking, you're ranking top 5 for your main keywords, and they're like, okay, let's go out there, let's get them more sales. Now you have the trust with Amazon, you have the conversion history, and you're able to expand your targeting and go after things that might not have the highest CVR. And you can do that. But starting out, this is the strategy you want to use. So yeah, remove brand search if you see competitor brand names popping up, and then you can just double check that list. Like, for example, if your product doesn't kill mold, maybe you want to remove that from here. But this gives you a suggested naming structure too, which I go over in this guide here. Your brand name, your ASIN, sponsored product is the type of ad, exact is the match type, the date that you launch it, single keyword campaign, and then the keyword that single keyword campaign is going after. This is bulk upload. I wouldn't suggest doing this. Essentially, you could just upload the whole file at once, but it's usually not too many campaigns. By the time you come in here and you delete, you could just go through each of these manually inside of Campaign Manager so that you get an idea of how the settings actually work when you set up a campaign. And this also isn't a dynamic sheet. So if you delete something here, you're also going to have to go find it here and delete it. So that is the note there. Okay, one other cool use of this tool is if you already have a product and you're looking on how you can optimize it or what opportunities you're missing, you could come in here to the master keyword list, and let's say this is my product. I can filter it and I can say, where am I greater than 10? And so this will show you where you're in spot 11, spot 12, where you're not ranking in the top 10. Right, and then you could see where other competitors are that you're not. So I'm ranked spot 20 here. This guy's ranked spot 2. This guy's ranked spot 3. Not high search volume, 339. But this is our brand name, Swisker Halo Clean UV Light, and we're ranked 20 for it. So we should probably run some ads just to defend our brand name on that term. This one is 1,300, 1,400 terms. We're spot 12. That's 1,400 searches on our brand name, and there are 11 people showing up before us, right? So that would be a term we want to go after. But you get the idea. You can filter for where you're not ranking well and another competitor is ranking well to show what keyword gaps exist and what you can go after. But yeah, I hope this helped you in your Amazon PPC journey.